So it's looking like Xbox is making another console. And I was wrong. But we're going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about it. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Xbox and the plans for their future. You know, I made a video not long ago. It was like 3 or 4 days ago. That was just like, look, with the rumors that's going on with the next generation of hardware, is that happening? Are they going to make that because, you know, the rumors ain't looking good. The rumors are not looking good. They're saying that, you know, this next generation's cooked. And a lot of people are in my comment section on that saying, Addict, this video didn't age well. A lot of stuff. And because obviously there's a lot of aspects that comes into it. You know, next gen, some stuff leaked on it. And, you know, Microsoft came out and said that, you know, they're working with their relationships with, you know, they're working their relationships with AMD to make the next gen console. And then, you know, I don't understand how, like, we can just go off of solely what Xbox says. And I get it, you know, people are going to be like, Addict, you're hating. I'm not hating, man. Like, I'm looking at the past. I'm looking at situations that just happened where Microsoft and Xbox said one thing and they did something else. You know, I'm looking at Phil Spencer on an interview saying that he understands why some people in the industry feels like they don't have exclusives and it's too inconsistent. They need to be better on whether or not they have exclusives or not, and they're going to work on that. And then 4 months later, they do the business update. You know, there's a lot of aspects that goes into this stuff, man. You know, where you have stuff like Sarah Bond saying they making profit X amount, 2 billion or something like that, and then they raise the prices. Like, look, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you if there's going to be definite a yes or a no. Maybe I shouldn't have named it I hate being right, my last video. And it's the part that kills me is like the way that you guys view me. You guys think I want this. You think I want the videos that I make saying that Xbox is going away. I don't. I've been very vocal that I want Xbox to stay around. And it's not my fault that they've been very inconsistent with that. You got Costco pulling the game, their consoles off, and Sam's Club, and rumored to be more of them coming soon. You got across the seas of them pulling out of certain districts and certain regions. And it's just like all this going on. And then you got them selling less and less hardware. You got them doing less and less revenue in terms of that hardware. And you expect me to trust a corporation not to do what a corporation does best, which is to cut corners and make more money. And that's my biggest thing. It's just like, look, like, I hope, and pray I'm wrong, that they're going to make another console and they're going to support it the whole generation and everything's good. And a lot of you be acting like I'm being disingenuous, or, you know, you guys like to call me stuff like doom and gloom merchant. I accept that. I be the doom and gloom merchant, man, because it's like, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut either. You know, if I don't believe in something, I don't believe in it. And I love the hardware. I love having a dedicated box to play my games on. And I don't like the perception that it might go away. And it's interesting that industries will, some of the viewership, some of the influencers, all you needed was Microsoft saying that they're still doing it. And it's just crazy the amount of people that just take the face value. No real tangible evidence saying that it's happening. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It probably is going to happen, because if it is true that it's going to cost them more money to cancel with AMD than it would to generate and manufacture the console, then it's probably going to do that. But then that's another thing. Like, people act like getting the console out is the only job that they would have to do. Now, if they have OMD gear where they have another manufacturer like Asus make the console, you know, that's definitely a possibility. I'm a little worried about that in terms of, you know, I come from working front desk and we had partners like this, and they would call us, and we'd say no, that is something you have to deal with that company, and that company would tell them you have to call us, and it's just a huge thing. And then it comes to cost functions. If let's say Asus does make an Xbox, Microsoft's going to want a piece of that. Asus is going to want a piece of that. So it's going to raise the price overall. And, if Microsoft or Asus ain't willing to take some of the hit to make more money on the back end when it comes to software, then that's going to raise it even more than that. So it's just like there's more to it than just releasing the console. And then you look at the aspect of like games. I finally got to the point with Xbox, playing on Xbox. I get my Final Fantasies. I get my Personas. Final Fantasy Tactics. Game right here. Been playing it on Steam. Mad excited that game's coming out for Xbox, and it's out for Xbox. And it's just, I'm worried that if next gen happens, because let's say they do, Asus makes the next Xbox or Microsoft makes this next Xbox, and they're not willing to, subsidize some of that cost, and damn things like $800-900. I'm worried that the thing ain't gonna sell. And then you got people like Square Enix and Capcom that is deciding they don't want to release games on that platform. And, I do stuff on the side where, I see a lot of what platforms, a lot of indie games and stuff's coming on. A lot of them ain't coming out for Xbox. And I don't know if that's from a, financial aspect where they can only afford to, port to certain platforms, because a lot of these are coming out to every other platform, just not Xbox. And that's my biggest thing. It's just like people act like it's just one aspect. And what irritates me is being misrepresented. Like acting like I don't care about the Xbox hardware. We on the same team fighting the same battle. I just believe that, certain aspects of the fight is more important than aspects that you believe is more important. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to, is that it's just like, I'm not going to believe a company that's been so inconsistent with what their messaging is, that's been so inconsistent on what having an Xbox really is. I'm not going to believe in a company that consistently overprices everything that they're doing to completely overshot growth of the platform. And, people like, oh, Addict, I don't have blind faith. I don't believe in most of things. And the people sit there and try to like tell me exclusives don't matter. Exclusives is in literally every industry. I don't go to McDonald's expecting a a Whopper, and I don't go to Burger King expecting a Big Mac. Got it in video streaming services. The Boys on Amazon Prime, and got Stranger Things on Netflix. Because there's always got to be something to drive you to that hardware, to that service. And maybe you guys can put in the comment section below where I'm missing on that. Because, it's just like, look, in my personal opinion, if Microsoft isn't trying to sell hardware, how much money do they really put on that? If they release it just to meet ends, quote, with AMD to not get sued or pay extreme penalties, do they put a lot of money behind that on the back end if it's not selling? And that's where I'm just like, I'm skeptical of that. And I feel like it's reasonable. I feel like if you are looking at the landscape, looking at the direction that Xbox in particular is going and the decline of the hardware, I feel like if you're not a little worried about the hardware, like you on something and I need it. It's like, I feel like it's perfectly reasonable. And you should feel that way, that it's just like, are they going to make a console? I don't know. But I am worried about one coming out. And I think I don't tell people that they should blind faith into a company. I don't go in people's comment sections. I don't go in people's mentions on Twitter. If you truly believe that there's nothing to worry about, clapping for you, man, because I wish I had the same faith that you have. But I see the stuff that's been going on in the patterns and the trending, and being very inconsistent with the branding and seeing where the hardware sells now. And, I know corporations do what corporations do best. They're like, should we even invest into this? And not to mention people trying to act like the individual that, made those allegations and said that they're dropping the hardware ain't been right on everything. Look, has he been 100% on stuff? No. I'm assuming he's had some misses. But when you when you was that accurate on that big post, I don't know if it's on Reddit or Reset Era, I got to take you a little serious. Even if you end up being wrong on this particular thing. And keep in mind, a lot of the times when these rumors, unless they just straight up lying, some of these things just get changed up at the last minute. Especially Xbox. I feel like every month they have a new North Star. And people that don't know North Star is, it's like what the direction of the company wants to go. And it's just like that's my thing. It's just like, I can easily be a fan of the platform. I love the platform. I love the controllers. You know, I got the star-filled controller right here. I love the platform. I play the platform. And it is perfectly understandable of me to be nervous on where the hardware is going and whether or not it's going to be a good thing long-term for me. I think that's reasonable. I don't know why people feel like you have to be like one or the other. Like you have to think it's burning down or you have to think that the building's not on fire. I feel like there's easily in the middle where it's like, okay, you know, if there is hardware, I'm kind of curious on what happens with the longevity of the hardware, but I'm down. If there is hardware, I'm down. It's just, what does that hardware look like if Microsoft's not really caring about it? You know, let's say next hardware, but then it could go where the next hardware does really well out the gate and Microsoft puts more money behind it. Because it is interesting how they're doing that Forza Horizon. You know, Forza Horizon 6 is going to be a timed exclusive. I didn't see that coming. Maybe you guys can put in the comment section below why you guys think that happened. I don't know. Very curious your guys' opinion on that. That's it for the video. I don't know if I'm going to do too much editing on this. You know, it's just me having a personal vlog at this point. You know, it just, look, I'm not saying that there is or not. And maybe I should have worded my last title a little bit better. Because at the time when I made the video, look, I personally believe Homeboy. Like, you know, I'm not saying, you know, maybe Microsoft's had some, you know, change of thought. You know, maybe he's wrong completely. But the direction that stuff is going and the way the industry, especially how Xbox is handling the brand, wouldn't surprise me one bit if they decided to just cut the cord and not have an Xbox. And I think if you feel like that is completely unreasonable of a take to have, I don't know what to tell you. Because I feel like I understand people being very, very, this ain't going to happen. But at the same time, I feel like you guys should think more outside the box and not just, it's never going to happen. Like, you guys realize there was a time where Microsoft was being very fluent on exclusives. Like I said, Phil Spencer literally came out there and he said that they got to do better on, is this game going to Switch? Is that game going to Switch? And then 4 or 5 months later, they do the business meeting update. They've changed too much for you to expect me to believe everything they say. That's all I'm saying. But hey, put in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. You know, yes, I was wrong. As of right now, off of what they said, like I said, they changed a lot, so we don't even know. I was wrong, and I'm willing to admit that. But that's all you getting from me. Doom and Gloom Addict.